ranging from cryptocurrency to gaming, tech, and more. My name's Annalise. To my left, I have Brian. No, I'm sorry. To my right, I have Brian. And to my left, I have Jerome.
How's it going, guys?
So we have a couple of topics today, and I guess I'll start it off. Um, has anybody? Well, I mean, I guess this has to do with the U.S. presidential elect. I'm in the U.S. If anybody's wondering, but a lot of people have been blaming the recent, I guess, pump of the market to the president that got or President-elect Biden, which I don't think is true. Give me 1 second, guys. Hold on, I hear an echo.
You're good. I don't hear anything from my end.
Okay, cool.
Too much
There
attention
we go.
to the market. Is it significant?
Yeah. So, I mean, things for what I'm hearing is people feel like because Trump got elected out for 2021, there is less uncertainty in the market. There's more reassurance. Um, but I don't think that's true, just based off what I'm looking at. And I think the UK even printed another 150 billion pounds into their economy. So there's a few things that kind of just don't make sense, and I think it's mostly because of what's going on just overall financially. So that's probably the topic that caught my eye the most. But if you hear that it has to do with the election, it's not true, guys. The market's doing just fine. Bitcoin, that's it. It's okay. Nothing.
Agreed. The market's gonna be volatile. So there's all sorts of different topics that we can talk about. From cryptocurrency to different games.
I already said that.
I would like to talk about some of the upcoming games and stuff that's going on in the market right now.
Games.
Uh, One of the games that a lot of people are excited about right now is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I don't know about that game. Tell me about it. Actually, I'm not a good Assassin's Creed person because I don't know how to slice people and grab them and games. I'm sorry.
Well,
I can't function.
This one is not like the previous Assassin's Creed, from what I'm understanding. It's more like Vikings, so it's going to be more upfront and confrontational, as opposed to previous ones that are more like stealth games where you want to try and go and get up behind somebody and stab them. This one, like, no, you're running in and attacking entire cities, either by yourself or with a bunch of other Vikings and trying to win.
Is Assassin's Creed even about Vikings?
This series it looks pretty interesting. It's going to be running on the new PlayStation, Xbox, as well as Google Stadia and Nvidia GeForce Now. So cloud gaming platforms for anybody that haven't heard of those. Looks pretty interesting. I was watching some gameplay today. I'm pretty interested.
I don't think I'd play it personally just because I know I'm gonna suck. But who knows? Maybe I'll get enlightened.
Yeah.
On VR games, is there anything VR related that we can get into?
Yeah, that it released today. Just a kind of quick thing. I don't know if you know the exact release date for it, just for those listings, if you were mentioning it.
Which game?
For the Assassin's Creed Valhalla that Jerome was just talking about.
Oh, there's not a release date for it.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because I heard it came out today from someone, but I don't know if that was like confirmed. I didn't read anything online for it, so from what I've
Yeah, I think it came out either today or it comes out on Friday.
What about Cyberpunk 77 or 20 whatever it is?
2077, it got pushed back again. So I'm so sad.
Again. It releases today?
good games like
Oh,
that.
yeah, I guess it does. Isn't today today? So then it did release.
Assassin's Creed, yeah, I guess it did drop today.
Yeah, so Assassin's Creed did release today, we just confirmed, and then Cyberpunk 77 got 277. What is it? 2077. Is it still on board for December 10th? Is that a fact?
It was supposed to come out already.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess that's positive. It's not being pushed back yet. Hopefully, it doesn't get pushed back again.
I really hope not. Everybody's excited for that game. It better be worth the pushback. I heard
I'm hearing that's one of the most anticipated games of the year. Everyone I talked to talks about that game. But
That's
Wouldn't it suck if
supposedly.
it comes out and it's a Marvel 2.0?
Oh my goodness, that would be devastating.
Yeah,
But
didn't Marvel come out negative with the game that they came out?
thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, the Marvel Avengers actually they were negative 43 million dollars.
Oh my gosh. 43. Can you imagine being negative $43 million on something you spent months creating?
Yeah, that's devastating. So I mean, this
Dude,
2077 Cyberpunk has been like 5 years in the making, so they cannot be bad.
8 years?
8 years in the making. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's crazy.
So yeah, this is really interesting, guys. Really excited to see some of these new games that are going to be releasing within the coming weeks. And then Brian, what's the news in the blockchain gaming atmosphere?
Yeah, there's definitely a few things happening around
I got into
the.
blockchain gaming. I'll say that.
The first thing we have is Sky March Entertainment. They have signed an agreement with Engine to bring three AAA quality games to Ethereum. The names of them, where we have them, Zeal, Crystals
Brian,
of Faith. Yes? Do I need to
sorry, is your
search?
megaphone on? I could barely hear you.
It is, I don't know, where is my megaphone option?
One moment, please. Stand by.
Giving me the
Stand
megaphone
by, stand
option.
by. Hey, what's up, guys? For anyone in the crowd who just joined us, we're just talking
Welcome,
games.
everybody. Open mic. You guys are welcome to just join in. We're here talking about some new games. We were just talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Cyberpunk 2077. If you guys have some games you're excited about, let us know.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes, I hear you a lot better. Just talking about Assassin's.
Let me hop back into the articles. As I was saying, um, where was it? Skymarch Entertainment. They signed a document and agreement with Engine to bring three AAA quality games to Ethereum. So I know we've been talking about Ethereum over the past, couple of months or whatever, with its, super inflated gas prices, which I think are still a little bit inflated. People were bringing up alternatives to Ethereum, like
Yeah, and
Neo
if I'm not
and.
mistaken, I saw that they're talking about Ethereum 2.0 has a release date finally, right?
Yeah,
I have not
December
heard, but
1st.
that will
Apparently,
definitely
Vitalik
be.
spent over like $1.4 million for Ethereum to somewhere. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like things are actually moving. Like it used to be, hey, it's getting pushed back, it's getting pushed back. Now we're actually going somewhere.
Well, that would be very helpful. But anyway, the name of the three games are Zeal, Crystals of Fate, and the Galaxy of Lemuria. The games are now in the later stages of development with playable demos available to the public. So
So
that is
these are
from
games
Sky
that are going to
March
be
Entertainment. Mm-hmm.
releasing on Ethereum on Engine. You said.
Yeah, so it's going to be on the Engine platform. So Engine is natively run through Ethereum, so they're going to be going to the Ethereum blockchain. You can
And then
support
would you
them
be able
on
to get these games
Indiegogo.
like in
Mm-hmm.
Steam?
Yeah, so apparently they are, like I just said, you can support them on Indiegogo. I don't know if the campaign is currently live, but it is from, just one more time, Sky March Entertainment. And the plan is for it to come to Windows, PS4, and Xbox One, as well as Apple, so Mac and Linux. I
Okay, a
assume
blockchain
there'll
game
be
on the
hopefully some
console.
sort of. Yes, there's
That's
been
exciting.
talks
I'm not
of
gonna lie.
the Six Dragons moving to console at some point, as well as with the Six Dragons, they just had a huge update where they increased the size of the map by 4 times, and they added in a whole bunch of loot and spawning equipment and whatnot. So huge overhaul for the game. I haven't been in it for a few months, but those are definitely a few titles to check out. I don't know if either of you two have any comments on that. And another thing on that note, Animoca Brands plans to bring Formula E onto the blockchain. So I know we've been talking about Animoca Brands as well as I believe Atari as two of the kind of bigger named titles that are merging more into the blockchain space. So
Atari
uh,
actually doing something. I keep seeing them pop up, but I've never seen them actually do something. Like,
Great
is,
I
question.
is, does anyone else feel that way, or is it just me?
I hear a lot from them every now and then, working on something and developing things, but most of them are work in, progress titles that are not yet released. So,
Okay, so but
uh,
Atari hasn't released anything.
yeah. Not that I am fully aware of.
I see.
Atari in particular, no, I know they're heavily involved in the sandbox as their like primary thing. So is however far the progress on the sandbox is going, which as far
All
as I
right, so
last heard, hmm they
I
got a
got a
lot of
question from the audience. Logan asks, "What do you think of the movie Ready Player One, and do you think VR could eventually take over our daily lives?"
No, I think AR would take over before VR. I'm gonna be completely honest with that one. Because AR you can actually I guess mix it in with your everyday life. Like Apple Glass, when it comes out, you'll be able to, have your maps up and do stuff. I don't VR is too infiltrative to like take over completely, in my opinion. I see your hand up high. You can speak if you want. Yeah,
Yes,
go for it.
yes, Logan. I don't know if we need to unmute him or have
So
him on microphone.
not like I meant to remove my question. So coming with Cyberpunk 2077 coming soon, do you think at some point reality might be like that?
I don't know. To have like there's people who definitely I've heard that are trying to like build out cyber cities and smart cities. um I think like as a society as a whole for us to shift to that, if it happens, China's doing it first. uh that's for sure. So but I don't know, but I mean there is individuals that I know like in real life who are trying to build cyber cities. So maybe, but like within the next 30 years at least, until I don't know. It takes a long time to build a city. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Why not?
I definitely think that we are on the path. It's not to say that it's impossible, but it's definitely probable. I think that there are people that are going to attempt it, and you might have little niche communities of people that are working in VR all the time and constantly meeting up with their friends and might not be leaving their, main home, might, work out in VR and, really be active in that environment. Whereas you'll have a lot of people that are, I guess, in the mainstream utilizing augmented reality, and people that don't want to use any tech. I see we have another question that looks like. I'm going to give you guys a button to ask questions, participation, and allow hand raises. So if you go ahead and hit that hand raise button, I can give you the megaphone and give you the chance to talk. Logan, I know you just talked. I'll come back to you. Looks like Rhetoric wants to talk. Let's see what he has to say.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Yes. Okay. The problem with reality is a restriction to freedom and resources. Unless you comply with the establishment and get the kind of jobs that they want you to get and earn the money to be able to afford to go where you like and have the time off you want, you can't do it in reality. So there are far more poor people than there are rich people. Granted, this is a bit of a contradiction because getting the VR headsets are quite expensive. But when you're there, you have way more freedom in virtual reality and way more access. And you have the library of the world right here in front of you that you don't have in reality unless you get permission, like in the form of currency, to go places and do things. So I actually think we're heading more towards the Matrix. That was my point.
Sorry, I was muted. I could see that. And I mean, it kind of makes sense. But there would, I mean, and this is kind of where Facebook comes in, where they're trying to make the price points of this technology cheaper so that more people get on it. Like a recent headset release, it was way better than their first one. It came out cheaper than their first one, and they're trying to like get people into VR to the point where they're building their own platform like Horizons. Um, I agree with you where it's gonna, if that was something that would to ever happen, it would take a very long time. And like you said, it's more of controlling. I'm with you where government specifically they try to control the population. So would that happen as a whole? I don't think so. Would people build individual cities and maybe make their own infrastructure? Sure. uh Akon's building his own city in Africa, why not? But I don't, as a population, like I don't think so.
Yeah, I can see where like the Acon city, which is going to be running on its own cryptocurrency called Acoin, they're going to be, hiring people to do all sorts of things. I could see where having like VR jobs and, meetups in VR would be a thing. And that would probably be a way to recruit people who would like to go to Acoin or Acon City would be able to like and join in the community from their home in, the US or some other country and maybe save up enough money from doing a job within that community to then move over to that country. Who knows? There's all sorts of ways that people are going to create their own community of people that are like-minded to get together and collaborate. I'm really excited to see what the future
You
holds.
can go for it if Rome ever stops talking.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just one follow-up point is that once corporations, big business, ones that work in office spaces and in that kind of an environment, they're not manual laborers, once they smell the fact that you don't have to pay fortunes for corporate buildings, the rates, the electricity, the buildings, all that sort of stuff, once they get wind of that, and VR is accessible enough and the graphics are sharp enough. I mean, they're pretty good now. Then they're going to all ship to that because it's a fraction of the cost of running a global business. So it's going to come from the top as well. I think the top is going to say, hey, we don't have to pay for people to come into the office. And we can, and also it will drive money down, wages down, because no longer do you have to pay for transport, petrol, or buses and trains and things. So I think, as I say, with big corporations that have big headquarters, they're going to see the value in working, if you want, from home and in virtual space.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely people now who don't want to go back to an office. They don't want to waste an hour in transportation ever again. They see the value of working from home. There's companies who see the value of working from home, especially you're no longer subject to people who are only in your area. You can hire the best person in the world because they can be remote. So yeah, I definitely agree with that point right there. I just VR is just so interesting for like working. It would, I don't know, they would have to like really develop specific applications to do that.
I mean, we already have companies that are starting to utilize VR for training. So I could see where eventually it's going to get to a point where if you want this job, you have to have a VR headset. I'm going to interview you in VR. We're going to give you on the job training in VR, and then you might even do your job
Well,
in
they can
VR.
send them a headset. I mean, the same way that companies send computers and give you office computers and laptops to take home now. What's a $300 headset to them?
True. Yeah. Instead of having a desktop and everything there at work, you could just send someone a VR headset. But that's when you're gonna have Facebook's infinite desktop. People can have multiple screens up and work from within VR, and they can know that you're clocked in because of the headset being on your head and stuff like that. So I think that's an interesting concept, and that it's only a matter of time.
The only thing that might go against this is the capitalist economy, the what do you call it, consumer economy, where they want you to consume things in the real world. Otherwise, all of that would change. The whole thing would change if you're in virtual reality. Or suddenly you're now monetizing things in virtual reality and accessing virtual reality. And there's no outlay really other than programmers, not the kind of outlay that they have in the real world. And suddenly you don't need oil so much, and suddenly you don't need car manufacturing so much. So all those industries, and I'm talking about probably hundreds of years in the future, but all of those industries die down, and guess what? We get our planet back.
Great points.
Yeah, I can see that. Wait, what's up? I'm assuming you're Logan. Are you Logan? No, you're not Logan.
He's rhetoric, but Logan's still here and ready to talk. So let's go ahead and give Logan the mic.
Yeah, let me give Logan the floor real quick. Go for it, Logan. You can unmute yourself. There you go.
Well, kind of going along with what this gentleman said, I think that once companies and people who have a lot of power and wealth find out how they can do stuff easier, I mean, it's kind of like a sort of second nature. I mean, something you find something to do easier than a different path, you're probably going to take it, depending on really the consequences. But I think once you have money, you have power, and developing own cities and civilizations, like if they are appealing to certain citizens, these people will move into those cities, and perhaps even so much of them move out of, like countries that we know today. These advanced cities that are privately owned uh, might have more power than those governments that we have today. And I think that there's a real ethical and moral issue at hand. If money is power, then essentially anyone can own anything when it comes to a certain point. I mean, if you've seen Altered Carbon, where there's like people that are owned by corporations, but that's so far in the future that we can't even tell if that's going to be actually possible or not. But I think that, like I said, money is power, and I think once people get a hand on that, then kind of
We're
like,
done goofed.
where do you stop?
We're done goofed. I don't want to say money is power. Wealth is power, because there's different types of money. There's different types of commodities. Like there's fiat. There's cryptocurrencies. There's gold. There's silver. There's stocks. There's so many like different ways you can acquire wealth, real estate. But yeah, overall, if you have wealth, you do have power. Power speaks louder than color, race, every different ways you can acquire. What's happening? Is there someone on top of me? Okay.
Don't do that.
Get out of my bro. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah, tell me to get out of here.
All right. So,
let me see. Brian XYZ, looks like you're next. If you want to have the floor, go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the disruptive power of VR might be coming really soon with education, because it seems like
Yes.
it'd be a much better experience with Zoom. And if you start people at that age, being really used to it, it might transition into a world where we are all just using VR most of the time.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think on an educational aspect, VR is probably one of the best use cases in my opinion, besides like gaming. Because like you said, instead of, let's say I'm in medical school, instead of having a physical cadaver in front of me, I can have a virtual cadaver, and it can have little notes where each thing that I'm looking at, and I can actually click it instead of the professor saying this is there, this is there, this is there. It's literally a virtual diagram that I can look around. Education is one of the biggest use cases for VR. That's something that I'm actually trying to work on, because there's a company in Malta who had reached out to one of my friends. She just opened up a VR lab where I live. I'm actually sitting in it right now. So she opened up a VR lab, and it's meant for kids to learn how to build anything from robotics to engineering and virtual reality, augmented reality, things like that. And the company in Malta reached out to her because they have this software and hardware. They built their own headsets, and they have a software for learning. But they're trying to not do it only in Malta. They're trying to do it globally. So education is definitely one of those things that VR will conquer. And I think it's going to conquer well, because especially for kids that have ADHD, this is immersive. It reduces and mitigates their attention span from getting drawn to the kid sitting next to them coloring, or whatever the case may be. So
full immersion.
yeah, I feel like I would learn so much better in VR versus sitting through a lecture. So I can definitely agree with you on that one.
And imagine if
My
you're
legs
living,
Oh, my bad.
if you're living like in the Sahara Desert or something, and you're studying at Harvard.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. And with Google, with Elon Musk's Starlink bringing a satellite internet all around the world. I don't know if you guys saw they're now
Yeah.
allowing beta access where you could pay. I think it was $99 a month, as long as you paid $500 down, and you can get 150 megabytes speed pretty much anywhere in the U.S. or South Canada, and they're gonna try and expand that all around the world. So one day, yeah, you could be in the Sahara with a VR headset going to school. What's going on, buddy? We're in the middle of a live stream.
No. Miss Anna, Miss Anna.
Cool. That was it.
What's up?
Oh, Malta, New York?
No, not Malta, New York. Malta, the country,
The
Malta.
country, buddy.
Oh,
He's like,
damn it. I live 10 minutes away from there. I was about to be so happy.
yeah. No,
Wish
I
they
mean,
had
like I
cool
said, they're
stuff.
trying to make it global. They're trying to make it a global thing. And as soon as I hear, like more info about it, I'll share it. Whenever we do these podcasts, we do it weekly.
So yeah, let me just plug that in. Welcome everybody. I see we got a lot of faces in here. We do these events pretty much daily. Yesterday was Crypto Mondays, and Elise hosts that every Monday. Tuesdays, all three of us are up here on stage talking Yes, we do different events daily. We do these events
Okay,
daily.
hold on.
If you look on the wall over there, you can see all of our events that we do throughout the
Jesus
week.
Christ.
You guys are more than welcome to come and join us. If you're on altspace, click on the menu or up to the left of the menu button. There's a "You Are Here" button, and you can see a lot of the future events that we have scheduled. If you just check us out, you guys are always welcome to come and join us. Talk all about all things tech. All right, so let's finish up with these subjects that we have. Guys, get off the stage and stop trying to hump this woman. Virtual reality, guys, what can you do?
I'm upset. That's funny. Um, there's actually one more person who asked a question. Fashion we. I don't know if you're still here or
how's
not.
it going?
Hey, let me amplify you. Go for it.
I this is my first time here. This is really awesome. So thank you guys for doing that. What are your thoughts on the Virgin Hyperloop?
Awesome. Glad you asked. For anybody that didn't check it out, go to their YouTube channel.
We have to start the segment. This week in Elon? Go ahead.
This week, Elon Musk,
This week
right?
in
Yeah,
Elon.
that's a good segment. So this week, Virgin Hyperloop released a video where the first two passengers got into a Hyperloop pod and went from one end of the track to the end of the track. They didn't really give us that much data on it. I want to know so much more, but I'm really glad to see that we were able to have humans go through it. I think they hit a max speed of 500 miles per hour, or maybe it was like 100 something, 150 miles per hour, not 500. I don't think it was that fast.
It was-
But
it
can
was-
get up to 500.
It was very fast. But, I wonder
Very
if
fast.
they were able to survive through it. If
Yeah,
they
they
were at that
survived
quick of a
through it.
speed,
And I think we're gonna really be able to test the limits. A lot of people say that it's gonna be impossible, and you're gonna feel like you're puking if you're going that fast in a pod. But from what I'm understanding, because it's levitating, you're not touching anything. There's less friction. There's not supposed to be that like feeling that you get when you're going that fast. So it's supposed to be like when you're on a plane, essentially. I'm really excited. It's gonna be pretty much like teleporting from one end of a pod to the other. Like it's just like if you think of it, like when you go to a bank and you put like a letter or the check inside, and then the thing sucks up and drops it to the banker.
Oh,
It's
yes.
that same
I love
technology
that.
but laid out.
I like to put my hand and my face sometimes in that, so it feels what it's like to get sucked up sometimes.
You're silly. But imagine that, but 10 times bigger. You can sit in the pod and it would transport you from like one city to the next. They really want to be able to go from like LA to New York City within a couple of hours.
It's gonna be
Well,
dope. It's gonna
that's great.
transform
That's
travel
all the way over
forever.
The entire country. Going
All
from like
right, guys,
LA
let's
to
end the
Vegas
podcast and end the live stream. Everybody's kind of having fun. I want to go network and mingle. Guys, this has been a blast. If you have a PC or VR headset, you can come join us on stage with these lovely folks who just keep ganging up on my teammate. Bro, I'm about to get you off my stage, man. Get out of here. Anyway, come and join us every Tuesday, Futurist Podcast
That's
at 8
actually real,
p.m.
guys. I don't know if you
Eastern
know that.
Time. We host events all throughout the week. Come and check us out at blockchainuniverse.com. That's blockchain, UNIVRSE. Bye, everybody.
Right.